Hello and welcome to another Live Code Hangout. Today we are working on the Workouts app. It's a personal training application with multiple types of exercises defined in an exercise library, target muscles, and related equipment. It can be used to generate custom workouts, any number of exercises, and record the number of reps, sets, weight, or time, marking those as complete and viewing your workout history. We're in the early stages of the app. And in today's session, we're going to be looking at the generate workout page. Specifically, there are different types of exercises, some that don't require weights or reps, like running on a treadmill. For those exercises, we don't want to show the sets, reps, or weight kilograms fields, but rather the time and perhaps distance fields. And conversely, for cycling is another example where you're not usually doing sets, but for exercises that do involve weights, sets, and reps, we want to show those fields, but not the time field. So we're going to improve our data model a little bit to sort of annotate which types of exercises relate to which metrics. And eventually those metrics will appear on this table. And the following steps, we're going to have interactive displays like data visualizations. First, we need to get a good data model and get this data stored, the history, the workout history. So let's continue. Code is available on GitHub. It's licensed under the Apache 2 license. Feel free to check it out. And it's deployed to GitHub pages. So it runs entirely locally. It's private. It tracks only your workouts. We're going to be using GitHub Copilot in agent mode today. Quite a lot. I hope we have enough credits. I've been doing some work this morning. In order to work with agent mode currently, you need to have VS Code Insiders installed. This is an experimental feature, but it's similar to Cursor AI. It's sort of the GitHub response to the Cursor's interactive agent mode. It's very powerful. I've had great results. And it lets you select between models, and each of the model has a little bit of different strengths and weaknesses. So today's task, we are going to look at these exercise definitions and kind of add configuration fields. For each of the exercise types, we'll define whether or not reps, sets, weights, distance, or time is a relevant metric for that exercise. And that field is going to be, those fields will be Boolean, and they'll configure or control the user interface, as well as later data visualizations, which are another part of the user interface. But for now, we're going to be looking at the edit form. So here's where we define the interface for our exercise details, which is essentially this abstraction that tells us what an exercise is, what muscles it targets, any equipment that may be useful, and potentially an extended description. We take these exercise details and turn them into workout items that record how many sets, reps, how much weight, how much time, and whether that exercise was completed. And this starts to control the user interface. And it gets stored in a database. We won't have to go to the database layer today. This is going to be mainly a UI task. So let's see how to work with Copilot. What I'm going to do is highlight the code. And we can see down here in Copilot, I'm in agent mode with GPT-4o. And it's got the specific lines that I'm concerned with. I'm going to paste this GitHub issue into Copilot and just see what it does with that. Not all exercises involve reps, weights, time. For example, running doesn't typically measure the amount of reps, but rather time/distance. Modify our exercise details model to have Boolean fields to configure exercises to indicate which types of metrics should be collected. Use these Boolean fields to control the UI when recording exercises, so only relevant fields are shown to the user. So I'm going to provide the exercise details model here, and maybe the user interface. That way the model knows exactly where to look. The interface here is on the workout page, and what we do is we render form values, inputs for each type of metric. This is actually the configuration field at the top where we're defining what, like how many exercises we want to generate. Then we take the generated workout and we render a grid kind of cards, you could say. We're not using semantic classes here, so it doesn't have that card semantic. These are rounded cards that you can see here. And each has a form with a number of sets, reps, weight, and time. We want to control the visibility of that, of these fields. So I'm going to just feed both of these, page svelte, and the types with the lines of code highlighted. And we're going to see how far GPT-4 can get. I start with GPT-4. It's a very capable model, and being the first model integrated into Copilot and Copilot Agent, it's not in preview mode, and it has a larger kind of quota of how many requests you can make. Okay, so it's got some Boolean fields here: has sets, has reps, has weight, has time. I'll probably eventually add distance, because that's an interesting metric to measure. A lot of people are interested in how far they ran in a particular amount of time, even like running a 5K, training for a race or something like that. So we will need to add that. It's generating the page svelte, and it says if the exercise item has sets, it'll render this field. So it's just putting these conditional statements there. Fairly straightforward change, and we'll try to get these red squiggles fixed as well. And now it wants to run the tests in the workspace. That's a good step. One of the strengths of the GPT-4o is it does tend to run these tests, the end-to-end tests. The build failed, and it should notice the build failure here, but it's kind of stuck in a loop. The end-to-end tests are failing, but I need to run only the unit tests. Okay, so it's trying to run all tests in our workspace. So now we're in a loop. So we're going to break out of that loop. It's trying to go back into the loop. So what I need to do is start a new chat. We'll keep these changes. We'll start a new chat. And we'll try to figure out why the build is failing. Unexpected block closing tag. So this here. Let's see if Copilot can fix that. Problem is that the closing if tag is misplaced. It should be moved closer to the if block. Interesting. It looks like this one also is misplaced. So we'll just come here. And maybe there's an extra div. Okay, so now it's able to build. We've got some red squiggles up here. We're not exporting grid random workout items correctly. So let's see. We can go to this module. Oh. Yes. So this is a problem. We added these new fields, and we need to generate those in the exercise detail. Otherwise, these exported functions won't be available. So it's actually, the error message was a little bit misleading, pointing in the right direction, but it was a bit of a red herring, as you can see from all the red squiggles. So we're just going to ask Copilot to add those fields, see how it intuits the exercises. To fix the error, you need to add the missing properties has, sets, reps, weights, and time to each exercise object. I believe these should be mandatory on each exercise definition so we don't omit them. They're so important in controlling the user interface. So it's now generating these it's having some troubles. It's duplicating the content. So GPT is not doing so hot today. Let's switch over to Claude, and with the exercise data file open, we'll copy this error message and see what Claude 3.5 does with it. So it says I'll help fix this type error. First, let's check the type TS file to understand the exercise details interface requirements, which I didn't feed that in. So it's going to come over here and say, okay, we've got these new fields. I could have just saved a little bit of time from searching using the search tool. Then it's going to notice that these new fields have been added and conclude that it needs to define those for each of the exercise types. That's going to generate the edits. It has tacit knowledge about these types of exercises. It knows, for example, back extension has sets, reps, maybe not weight or time. I can tell from firsthand experience that you can use weights with the back extension machine in particular. I've also seen people using them in a frontward facing kind of back extension exercise. We'll put them on their upper back. So we're going to obviously need to make a couple of changes. As is typical to large language model output, it needs human guidance and sort of experience, knowledge in the particular domain that you're developing for, as well as like software development and understanding of code and how it works. But they're remarkably powerful. And even though I don't have a deep familiarity with specifics of things like TypeScript, I have a broad enough understanding of programming that I can kind of see and I get a sense, or a vibe, as they call it, vibe-driven coding, that the type and the code is correct, and we write unit tests as well to ensure correctness. So we'll go ahead and accept these changes. We'll keep the changes, and then we're going to just review them a little bit. So back extension machine does actually have weights. Pretty much all of the machine-based ones have weights. Okay, so I'm looking only at the weight. Let me double check here. Back extension, sets, reps, weights, false. True, false, machine, true. Treadmill, false, true. Cycle, false, true. Okay, so our data is in pretty good shape. We'll go ahead and commit this. This is a great step in the right direction. Well, let's double check the page now. Whoops, if I take a look at the rendered output, generating a workout on our local host, we need to run the project. Go to the generate workout page. We'll do like 8, just so we make sure we have the base covered. So we have a leg curl with 3, rotary torso with 3, leg press, cycle, time 30 seconds. Okay, it doesn't quite make sense, but we will need to specify the unit. For example, weight, kilograms. Units matter, and not everybody uses the same units. Particularly for weights. Time will be defined in minutes. We're going to need to support pounds, in kilograms. I think it was the one. So right now I'm just focusing on kilograms. But yeah, so it looks like it's working correctly. And let's just fix this 30-second thing. So time. And the units should not be in the field. It's a number. Numeric field. And label should be minutes. I'll add the pounds and kilograms units later because they'll need conversion, and I'll have to think about how that'll affect the database schema. We'll probably need to store the unit in the record, in the database record. It doesn't kind of drift, so that the behavior of the app doesn't drift from the data, or if we do make changes to the behavior of the app, the data will be explicit about what unit we were dealing with. Sets and reps are kind of unitless. All right, so this is a good checkpoint. Go ahead and commit this. The other type I'd like to add is has distance, and it should be optional. Resistance is interesting too. That opens up some new possibilities, like the resistance band. If I add that and make it optional as speed. Let me just see what it suggests. It has incline. Okay. Makes sense for a treadmill. As resistance type. Calories. So this is actually getting into much more detailed tracking. What I'm realizing is that these are all metrics. In other words, this is kind of another entity we're talking about. Exercise detail should have a related metrics. Heart rate, RPE, dang. Intensity. Duration is now this basically time. Tempo. Form, range, variation, difficulty, rating, progression. I'm just checking them out. Frequency. Okay, so let's not get too carried away. So everything after notes. And then what I want to do actually is take all of these and move them to like an exercise in metrics with Cloud 3.5 Sonnet. I've noticed that the exercise details has a lot of metrics configuration embedded in several fields. Perhaps we can create a new model called something like exercise metrics and move those Boolean properties to the new model while attaching it to the exercise details interface as a subproperty. See what Claude 3 does with this. It needs the context of the exercise data, the exercise types here, and the page. So I'm going to remember to give that context there. And specifically, I want it to have these fields, but I think it'll pick up on that. Okay, so now we have a new exercise detail metrics model that takes these Boolean fields, moves them, and then the exercise details has metrics. And it's going to continue working now that we've got new types. to make relevant changes to the data in the page. So for the sake of simplicity, which is a really big driving philosophy and motivation in this project and my work in general, we're not going to work with these today. I'm sort of putting them there as optional fields, the question mark, so that we can think about those in the future. The most we'll work with distance, maybe speed and incline, because I believe those are related to treadmill. This is an extensible model. It keeps things kind of well organized. Nice, so we see the treadmill, no sets, reps, weights, but it has time, distance, speed, incline, calories, and heart rate. So this is interesting because the treadmill machines do typically have those metrics and people may want to record them, so okay. Same with cycle. And I like that because the optional fields are implicitly false, can kind of leave out the ones that are not relevant. Thinking I might want to do that with all of the fields for the sake of having a more succinct exercises, data model, data list here. Okay, so we've got the updated structures. Everything is green. Now it's going to work on the page. It's got to change the conditional statement to look at the metrics. Exercise metrics has sets, for example. It has to regenerate kind of the whole file from what I understand. So it can kind of eat through your whole context window to have really big files. And in general, I think in programming, it's kind of a anti-pattern to have really big files and classes or functions. What I might do here is actually break this into a component. An exercise item component. Let's go ahead and accept these changes, which everything is sort of good to go. There's no red squiggles. We'll generate a workout with let's say 8 items. Now we see back extension as sets and reps, so I have to fix that. There's the misconception there. Abductor has sets, reps, and weights. Cycle has time in minutes. We didn't get the treadmill. Try to get one with the treadmill. Okay, so treadmill is not working, and that's because we don't have the actual fields for that. I'll have to double check. We haven't added those fields to the analytics data model, so it doesn't make sense to display them yet. Okay, so one step at a time. This is a good step. We'll commit it. Configuration is actually correct. The database model needs to be updated. So we've got a workout database. completed exercise model, which needs to be updated as well. Now, I don't know if we can have nested columns in our data store. This is a backwards incompatible change. Now let's create a completed exercise metrics model that we use to store the related metrics. If possible, let's use a nested model, but flat columns are fine if it's not possible to nest the metrics within the completed exercise metrics. So we need to give it access to the types, which it has now. The database, which might not need, it's just, I don't know what DEXIE is going to create columns based on this. A record, completed exercise, stores metadata about the exercise data. It needs to modify the columns here. These are indexes, I guess. Oh, I see. These are the columns. So yeah, and with some index metadata. Okay. We'll see. Indexed DB can use nested data models like Mongo and Postgres. I'll be right back. Okay, it looks like we're able to use a nested model for completed exercise metrics. And we just want to keep these two models in sync. Very cool. We might need a data migration for this. So let's see if DEXIE supports data migrations. So it's kind of common for database systems and engineers to kind of overlook or underestimate the importance of migrations. And we have complex justifications and workarounds for lack of migration support in some cases, like maintaining various code paths for historic data structures. In this case, I've got some testing exercise records that were created in the database in a different structure, and now I'm changing that structure. And I would need to, at runtime, have code that modifies those and it transforms it or maps it to the new structure from the old, rather than migrating it at one point in time to a new version, just migrating the old data. They're different approaches and they have trade-offs, but I'm really a fan of migrations. I think that should be the default, and try to have migrations in your toolkit. They're not simple. That's why I usually turn to an ORM like Django ORM or something that has migrations built in. I'm just thinking how we can add our own migrations, because now this data, these fields moved into this metrics field. That means that our user interface is now broken, and in order to fix that, history page, we'll need to map the old data to the new format. Otherwise, the page will have empty values for these fields, the metrics fields in particular. Our tests aren't going to work, but let's go ahead and run them. So the database tests has red squiggles because these top level properties no longer exist. At least for the tests, maybe they'll work now. So I'm actually not certain that this nested object will work, and it's not added a column here. It changes in the comment. It's strange. Okay. Tests are passing. Apparently, you don't need an explicit column definition nested objects. So it looks like version 2 is what we need, and then the migration between version 1 and 2. For this, I'm going to ask for Claude 3.7 support. We'll commit these changes. It's a good stepping stone, but the history table may have some problems. Yeah, I can't access this top level property set anymore. Okay, so upgrade. This function runs when upgrading from 1 to 2. Interesting. Okay, they call it upgrading instead of migration. Okay. Creates a new object. I'm glad for that. How do we trigger the upgrade? There they are. Wow. Okay. Wow, it worked. This is why we use an existing project like DEXIE, an ORM like DEXIE that has features like versioning and migrations built in. So I stand corrected. DEXIE does support upgrading your database schema. I was just looking for the wrong keyword. So good, so good. And now our data is in the right format. This we can commit, and that the data has been run, so DEXIE knows to bring it to the latest version at runtime. Man, this means we can be a little bit more bold with our changes to the data model going forward. Let me double check this console error is gone now. Yes. The other thing I'd like to tackle in this pull request is probably the units. I just want to get ahead of that. Although I am thinking about it, this is not actually a unit stored in the database. It's just a text label. But what I was getting at is I think the preference for units is going to be sort of a user setting. You probably don't want to define the units every time record a workout. That would be annoying. Although it will be a kind of a metric property of the workout so that the data is local to the workout itself. For example, if you travel and you're at a gym that has only units in one, and then your home gym has different units, might even be able to support unit conversion, or so you can know, oh, if I've been working out in kilograms, how many pounds should I do at this hotel gym or something like that. Okay, so let's think about it. But yeah, the units I'll do in another pull request because it involves user preferences. Unless I just set a default value in this pull request as part of the schema, that might be a good thing to do. Schema version 3. Now let's do it in a separate pull request. This is already good progress. Keep the pull requests small is another important practice, especially when you're working with other people, to make it easy to understand the context of what's going on and review the code without feeling overwhelmed. Okay, sets reps, wait, time. So these are the only fields we're displaying in the user interface currently on the workout form. Time. So for consistency, we don't need to put any other fields on the history for the time being. A couple plans for the history page. There should be an edit button that you can make changes to your history. If you make a mistake when you're saving it, when saving the record, you can fix that. You might want to do filtering based on other types of exercises, not just dates. So stuff like that, little enhancements a little bit at a time. Very cool. Let's go ahead and publish this branch and we'll create a pull request. We're about 1 hour in. That's a good length for a live code session. Enhance exercise tracking with metric structure. Introduce a new metric object for exercises to improve tracking of attributes like sets, reps, weight, and time. And we refactored the existing data structures to support the new organization and ensure migration from the old format. This is really important, migration. This project is only like 1 week old and I've already needed a data migration. You can imagine working at a large company where there's changes constantly and projects that are years old. If you don't have migration support, you encounter some very big challenges. Migrations are not trivial, and there's some trade-offs. I don't mean to make it sound like it's black and white. For example, a large table migration can actually impede the production traffic. It can put excess load on the database and cause latencies or delays. It can lock an entire table. There's some big foot guns with migrations as well. But usually, if you have a migration framework in place, a lot of those foot guns have been discovered over time, and usually the framework kind of helps you avoid them. Okay, we do have some red squiggles. I'll run these tests one more time. I think this just needs to be correctly annotated. No initializer. I see. So this is actually the wrong format. I see. So the completed exercise format is using the new format, and this variable that we're after here is supposed to represent the old format. What we need to do is actually there we go. Why is this not indenting correctly? Okay. This database migration test won't necessarily work. In a way, this is testing a feature of DEXIE. So I don't know how much I need to write my own unit tests for DEXIE built-in functionality. Problem here is the database table is in a new format, and so I can't use the old format old data format. I can't insert records, even though we have this old database. Well, actually, we should be able to. Old format, that's the problem. Okay, maybe we can actually. Let me double check my definition here. Yeah, so I just needed to move this type definition, and I should probably call it V1. then for our old database table, we're going to use the completed exercise version 1. And then this will be completed exercise version 2, which is another interesting point about versioning our schemas, which helps with these migrations and things like that. Yes. So that's one lesson I can learn today. I think from the point of moving forward, though, that got rid of the red squiggles. And now our workout database, let's see if I reload these. We see a new test, database migration tests failing. Okay. That's okay though. It's a new format. Yeah, cannot read properties of undefined, reading delete database workout app test. So in before each. See if I can run it again. Oh yeah. All right, let's do this a little bit more safe. We'll run it again. I just want to copy this error message. It's a bit frustrating. Yeah, well, the Claude's running the tests, so let's let Claude run the tests. Yeah, so now it's got the error here. And since we're running these in a node environment in a test context, there's no IndexedDB instance because we're not in the browser, so we're gonna have to fix that as well. But first, let's see if we add a conditional, some safety around this statement here. There's an error in the migration test because DEXIE delete is not working as expected. This is likely because we are testing in a Node.js environment. It needs proper IndexedDB setup. Make an IndexedDB library you've set up in the. Okay, so there we go. It's noticed we already have the fake IndexedDB. Cool. Interesting. You don't need to necessarily put the type definition there, but I think we should remove that. I kind of disagree with that. Do I like? I accept this. So it's using any instead of an explicit interface, but I think we're gonna have complaints about that. But I won't fight Claude. Let's let Claude do its thing. This is what I was afraid of. If we don't have these explicit type definitions, it's gonna give us squiggles because it's trying to use the new type when we have to have an old type definition in parallel with the new type. Okay, so this is another reason why when making schemas, keep the old type around. I can do that. Yes, I can. Let me do that, and I'm going to start a new conversation with Claude. check here. I'm getting a little bit confused. I'm forgetting the old schema basically. Original schema had flat field. This is why it's better to be explicit and keep your old schema around. All right, lesson learned. If we go to this pull request, I'll just double check it. You know, it's there in Git, of course. You can see the difference. It's been, it's going into a bit longer of a session than I was hoping. So basically, yeah, so these are just the old set completed exercise. Okay, I duplicated the wrong. Yeah. Okay. So in our types, it's actually bad. Yeah, this is the one. Wait, where'd it go? Let's do this. Rename that symbol to v2. And that should affect all of the files. v1. This would be sets. Whoops. Number reps and time. Okay. Now we'll import this to our test. There we go. This is that. And that's that. And this then goes back to that. Yes. All right, we're doing good. So this is where we're going to need to be more careful in the old record and the new record type. Be explicit. What's the purpose of this cloning step? Oh, just so it's immutable. See. So this needs to be v2. Oops. v2. Tell it that the new record. It can't clone from the new record. So what we actually need to do is explicitly set the fields. We can't spread it. Yeah, so this literally testing an implicit function on our database definition. It's testing this upgrade function. I don't know how important it is to write a test against that. I'm going to just, I'm not going to do that, I think. It would be nice to have a proof of concept where before and after migrations are applied to make sure that the formats are correct. So let's do this. Let's start a new conversation with Claude. So let's write a database migration test that instantiates records in a v1 version of our database using the completed exercise version 1. Then runs that migration to v2 and ensures the old records are in the new completed exercise v2 format. This functionality of the database library we're using, so we might not need extensive unit testing. However, it would be nice to assure and assert that the data are in the new format after migrating from the previous. So the database migration, I can close some of these. Let's give it the right text with types. Database migration. Yeah. Try Claude 3.7. I think we're getting close to its context or its use limit. I'll be right back. So yeah, I see we're essentially creating test versions of the DEXIE database that more or less copy the code of the database definition and then run the migrations in the test context. So it's kind of illustrating that we're really testing a feature of DEXIE that probably is already being tested. And there's a bunch of red squiggles. I think if I just want something to test, it would be our logic, this function, that it takes an old format exercise and returns a new format exercise. I think that's enough of a unit test. It's isolated, and then we're just trusting DEXIE to invoke that. So rather than like a lambda or like an inline function here, let's go ahead and delete this. We don't really need these. So it sees the file, the lines of the file. Let's see what it does. Claude 3.5. Cool. So we have a new named function. We're actually exporting it. That way we can use it in our unit tests. Okay, good. So that gives us the coverage we need. It's more succinct code in the database migration. I think this is also an example of a good software pattern where a function should have like a small scope and one level of abstraction. Sort of this, even though this is we're modifying documents here, but yeah, nonetheless, it is one level of abstraction. But the details here of mapping now are moved into a separate function with a small scope, and our test coverage can be more complete, basically. So we have some confidence that our migrations are working as expected, explicitly testing those. Let's run this, the app tests. All right. Rename this. Okay, now I feel better about the test coverage and the migration path, and we've already tested it manually in the browser. Playwright tests are still failing. I don't think I need an integration test for this functionality. I think the unit test is good enough. So now we're going to be keeping our old schemas around a little bit when we need to make changes. I can find a way of organizing the code a little bit better, but data structures do change. And so it's really good practice to take that change into account and try to handle it gracefully once instead of at runtime over and over again, leading to some weird gotchas and inconsistencies in behavior based on historic data or data propagating across systems that's in different states. It's complicated. Okay, we can later try to fix this end-to-end test. I think actually we need to look at the end-to-end test in the context of this pull request, because it's probably something about the page structure that has changed. Let me just double check which one is failing. Workout history tests. Okay, that makes sense. We need to revise those. Good. So it's not able to find a particular element. Reps time. This is because it's now a conditional field. This would be a flaky test. We'll need to probably just generate more, or 10 even. 8 should be good. That way we probably have one that has a time. Then I think this test will work. It's going to be able to find that particular field there's only 2. Okay, so the field identifier might be wrong. Let's take a look. When I go to generate workout, they're running. It's not running. Let's try 8, and we need one that's time minutes. Let's see what the time 6. This is a problem. It's like the 6th exercise, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 0-based indexing. 0, 1. It's the index. Yeah, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So these are all going to be flaky because we don't know the order of the workout that will be generated. So the 0th item could be time-based or sets, reps, and weight-based. So I think we just need a looser selector. Okay, working with non-deterministic features makes testing kind of hard. I think what we need to do is go back to 2, because that's going to be affecting this. So let's save that, and we will then need to pass in these types again. And the field, since it's sort of a end-to-end test, committed the previous changes. Let's use 3.7 for this if we still have some quota. So previously we were just displaying the same fields on every exercise type, and then it could just use the 0 index and do that. So we're going to fill in 2 exercises, generate a workout. Just going to run it. The port's already in use. Okay, so it's clearing out the port. And run our integration tests. And it's conditionally checking for the inputs. Okay. And it's keeping track of the metrics it filled in, so it can then compare them against the table. Okay, that's pretty good. Continue it. Oh, I was running in the wrong port. Not available. Maybe it's still running here. Okay, there we go. Failure. I think this is the right approach, though. Keep track of what we filled in and then conditionally check each of those. Probably a little bit more efficient way to track those. These are timeouts. Yeah, these are timeouts. Let me just close the editor. There's a dormant server process, I think. Or it's not cleaning up. Okay. It needs the workout history page as well. Okay, it says, let me fix the workout history test file to address the timing issues when looking for expected headings. Based on the error, I'm trying to run the test. There appears to be a port conflict. Okay, so it's just needed to clear out this background process that wasn't killed. Main issue with timing is when looking for headings, it can't be resolved by adding more robust tests. Let's see, adding maybe longer timeout. And a bunch of other stuff. Okay, they're all three failing. So it says there might be an issue that it's configured to run npm build in preview instead of pnpm. Actually, we're using Vite. Vite to preview and Vite to build. Okay. Maybe we should actually look at that. So let me think here for a second. Well, it's aliasing those, so doesn't matter, I think. I think I'm going to try GPT for this one. It's got a pretty good way of debugging tests and adding print statements and things like that. It's 30 seconds is too long. You know what it probably is? Just realize it's the path. If we look at this one, this version of it. If we look at that URL, it's got a prefix. Okay, forgot about that last time. I had the same problem. I don't know if it needs it. It's a trailing slash, and this might need to just come from the base configuration. Svelte. This path. So it just wasn't able to create the file. So we need to do screenshots. I don't know if we need a trailing slash here. No. In fact, just this go-to should work. Let me double check. It's weird. Okay, so it's not running. Let me double check that. We're doing 73. Doesn't show the port, but the application is running. The page workout could not be found. Workout, not be found. All right. So that said, if I look at the diff here, this is correct. We don't need the helper, we just need just need the correct base path. I mean, the helper is good, but then we don't need to pass the prefix into it. So that was the other error that I was making. Okay. So we were passing in the prefix again. All right. So now we have progress. Step 2. We're off. Let me just delete these again. Trash. We'll rerun it. Step 1 is good to go. Cool. So actually, this is progress. Page locator container. So we kind of switched away from that. Didn't we? All right, so we're good to go. We're actually getting a little bit further along. Step 6. This locator is kind of nondescript. Wait for exercise cards to appear. So this is an example of how utility classes, we don't have a semantic unit to call this. So I'm having to query by like these utility classes is leaking into my test, and I don't have like a name for this. So let's go ahead and give it a semantic name. Yeah, I think that'll do it. And I was considering refactoring this into a module, to a component anyway. Okay, so let's go. Looking for source. Workout page. Workout item, how about that? Want 2 of those. So your workout is visible. Oh, okay. This is good progress. I'm losing the thread. So I don't need that anymore. I don't know if we should take the screenshot first, just to see what it's seeing. So it does have 2 cards. Oops. That's correct. Let's try running it again. That's not going to work, is it? Okay. What does this return? Turn to locator. The locator takes a selector, which is, I'm looking for this class workout item. Let's see what GPT can do with that. I'll be right back. As they're still failing to diagnose the issue, I'll read the test file to understand the context. Rerunning the failed tests. So it is insisting on using the utility classes. Yeah, now I just need to fix these. Shoot. Well, maybe I'll fix that. That no longer exists. The go-to with base pages. I removed that. So we might have some progress. 1 passed, it looks like. It's worth the extra time to make sure our tests are passing, even though it's sometimes harder to get tests to pass than it is to write the original code. Unless if the tests don't pass, it's a good chance that the code is not working as you expected. Even though in this case, we've kind of verified it is, and this failure is because of the interface change, basically, and it's non-deterministic. So we needed to update the tests to reflect the new interface changes. So let's see. This just no longer exists. And we don't really need try catch inside of our tests. I just need to fix this. All right, let's see if they run. One other thing I recall being an issue is we have it here. Never mind, we have it described, top level described. That was causing some problems before. Let's just run these one at a time. This is what I don't understand. Is it? I can't be doing it too fast because it's literally in the screenshot. If I look at the page, a workout item contains the title. I mean, this is class we're looking for, a workout item. We don't need the, I wonder if it's too strict. The case. For example, It can't. Doesn't have a vision, but that's fine. It's not a vision model. Claude, let's see if we can get this. It's really strange. Every other step is working. The issue is likely with the CSS selector used for locating the workout items. Let's analyze the problem. Reading the page. Just to double check, I think I already looked at this. There's the workout item there running. We might need to also free up that port. Yeah, so it's trying to use a simpler selector with the prefix. It's going to try to run that test. And I just had the server running in duplicate, which is also a potential problem because it could have been operating on a version of the code that hadn't refreshed. This is something I keep bumping into where the processes aren't killed when I close the terminal this way. Perhaps something's going on. I need to do Command C first. So the container one isn't correct either. Yeah, the problem in test results, we fixed the problem with workout item selector, but now we have another container. It's too generic. It doesn't multiple elements on the page. It's causing what's called a strict mode violation in Playwright. It requires unique element selection. So fix all the container selectors in the test to be more specific. Do we need to test for the container? I didn't even see one when I inspected the code. Yeah, it's just going to remove it. Yeah. And we've exhausted the rate limit. Okay. Well, let's take a look. So if I run these here, 26 files changed. Oh yeah, because all the images. Cool, getting closer. It's probably a paragraph, not a div. try it again. Yeah. Wow. All right. Could be something relating to my test runner that's also not kind of killing the playwright server. Okay, so we're just going to verify it's only removing the screenshots. That looks good. Okay, wow. We fix our end-to-end test. One little thing I'd like to do is extract this into a component. Create a new chat with this selection. We'll use Claude 3.5 Sonnet if I haven't exhausted its rate limit. Please extract this workout item into a workout item component that makes this code easier to read and maintain. Essentially, it's going to create a component here. So yeah, it's just 109 lines out of this file. You know, it's just repeating. It's a component essentially. So it's nice to have a smaller component file. And even then we have all these utility classes. It's just easier to read, easier on the eyes because everything is just in a smaller scope. And then we remove all these lines of code from repeating and we essentially we pass it in. Yeah, it's a workout item type and a component name. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Workout item component is fine. Let's see what it chooses. Yeah. And then what did it do? Just alias that. Interesting. So whatever the global export is becomes this, or this is implicitly a global export, I think. Svelte's doing that for us auto-magically. And now our code's a bit easier to read. We have our workout item Svelte. And then in our page, we're going to iterate over the workout items and render the workout item component. Things seem to work correctly. Let's run the The end-to-end test's flaky here, but we can run the server. Go to generate workout, and it just works. It's just moving code around, and I don't think I need to go too deep into the tests. All right, this has been a pretty big session, almost 3 hours. More than I was anticipating. I was thinking 1 to 2 hours. That happens though. So we have the pull request here. We've basically achieved what we set out to do, which is now to be able to store exercise appropriate metrics. We did some refactoring along the way, and we needed to edit the unit and integration tests or end-to-end tests to make sure that they reflected the new structure and covered the migration function, basically a lambda that we were running, and we just made it a named function. So we have improved our end-to-end tests. We have a new svelte component. We have a new database schema migration and test coverage for the database schema and the migration. This closes issue number 8. Very cool. All right, I'm a bit fatigued after that session. It's interesting and fun, and I think we're building something meaningful. And if you'd like to check it out, you can stop by github.com/Briley/workouts. Thank you for your time. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you're doing well. Have a great day.